another slow, quiet, boring night at the house. I wonder what's on the TV.
For heaven's sake, get on with it. Oh, go on, don't just sit there.
Who the hell is that? Jeez, to give anybody a TV show these days. Wow, I really need to get rid of that painting. I don't even know why I bought it in the first place. It's just done nothing but creep me out ever since I got it in the house. Oh yeah, my new game came in. Let's put it in the computer and give it a play. Oh, I like the graphics on this thing. Nice sound assets as well. Oh, great, they're flying the planes low over the house again. I called the airport and told them not to... Wait, what the hell is going on? Holy shit! Konnichiwa mina, ore wa Gemini. Welcome to the third and final episode of what has turned out to be a sort of impromptu quasi-mini-series about games that got the better of me when trying to record them, as we take a look at what may well have been the result of Douglas Adams taking a liking to that game with the books and the pages and the misspelled weather conditions. Starship Titanic. Starship Titanic was developed by the Digital Village, a company founded by Douglas Adams, who worked as script editor for the classic era of Doctor Who for a little while, but is more notably the author of The Meaning of Life and the Dirk Gently novels, as well as being the creator of a little radio series called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I will now move on with this review before I start spouting random quotes from the guide, so don't panic. Damn it! On its maiden voyage, the Starship Titanic's onboard computer system has been sabotaged. The only reason you know this is because the ship just so happens to crash into your house. But hey, not to worry, because
Luckily, your house was quite soft.
this sabotage has had an unfortunate effect on the AI of all the robots aboard the ship.
And you may find that we're all a little doolally. I know that I am.
So it's up to you, because, you know, you were in the neighborhood, I guess, considering it was your house that was crashed into, to board the ship and find and replace the computer's missing components. As if that weren't enough of a headache, the ship takes off, or goes into warp, or dematerializes, or however the hell it travels, as soon as you get on board. So you're now trapped on this apparently doomed starship. Except you're really not, because once you repair the computer, you're able to navigate the ship back to your house. So that's handy. The last first-person point-and-click game I played for this series was The Seventh Guest, and one of the major complaints I had about the game, which I apparently share with other people who have reviewed it, was that every time you move somewhere in the mansion, you're treated to a long, slow-moving, unskippable animation of you moving to wherever you clicked. Now, as you may have noticed by now, that is thankfully not a problem in Starship Titanic. The movement animations in this game are much, much quicker. Perhaps a bit too quick. I often found myself going a bit past the place I was trying to get to at times. My other major complaint about The Seventh Guest was the horrible acting. Well, with a cast of actors which includes Adams himself as well as 2 members of Monty Python, once again in Starship Titanic that is not an issue. When you first board the starship, Fentable, the doorbot, gets you booked into a super-galactic traveler class room, and although it sounds super, it's basically the equivalent of third class, and you can't really access or do much on the ship as such. So your first priority is to get yourself upgraded to second and later first class. Once that's done, pretty much all the puzzles in the game, in some form or other, are all geared towards finding the missing pieces of Titania, the ship's computer, and restoring them properly to save the ship. Now, if you're not outright clicking on something, much of your interaction with the ship and the onboard robotic crew is done via your personal electronic thing, or PET. The PET is divided into 5 sections. First is the Chat-O-Mat, where you can summon Fentable or Craig, the ship's bellbot, and where you type what you want to say to a character, and provided you made your sentence clear enough for the game's engine to recognize, the character will respond to what you typed. Then there's Personal Baggage, otherwise known as an inventory, the remote thingamy with which you can remotely interact with devices around the ship. Next is Designer Room Numbers, which is where you can store coordinates of some of the Titanic's rooms, mainly useful for when you want to accurately send items around the ship via a succubus. And lastly, there's Real Life, which is where you'll find options to save, load, adjust sound, and quit. And now for my gripes. I feel like some things are not made clear enough within the game. First off, there appears to be at least one area on the Titanic, possibly 2, that you cannot access at any time, no matter what class you are, and I can't figure out why, nor can I find any useful details on them online. I can only assume they were other areas, planned to be included in the game, but were cut for some reason, which just makes the game feel incomplete. Secondly, I mentioned you can summon either Fentable the Doorbot or Craig the Bellbot via the PET, and you can supposedly ask either of them for advice if you're stuck by typing HELP, but Fentable is practically useless in this regard, and while Craig is a little more helpful, like all the robots in the game, how much help he gives you depends on his mood, indicated by these dials at the left of the PET, which I didn't know at first. And for me, this couldn't easily be learned by reading the manual because the version I downloaded from GOG didn't appear to come with a manual. Also, being a bellbot, and thus the Starship Titanic's equivalent of a bellboy, Craig's main function is to carry stuff around, which is useful and indeed necessary for 1 or 2 of the puzzles, and although he makes mention of his position when you first meet him...
Hi, I'm Craig. I'm your bellbot today. Hey, I see you're not carrying any luggage. That's great. I can take a little time off right away.
It was such an offhand mention it slipped my mind, and thus I needlessly spent frustrating hours trying to figure out how to get a particular part from the computer when it was really just as simple as calling Craig and asking him to grab it. I also don't feel like it was made clear enough just why the Titanic was sabotaged in the first place. Now, while there is an area with the computer you can log into to learn some backstory, the blue text of the messages on the computer overlaid against the gray background of the monitor just makes them difficult to read. While I didn't understand some of the puzzles and how they related to each other at first, after having some time to reflect, I can say they were, for the most part, enjoyable. If you're a fan of games like Myst, or perhaps more appropriately in this case, Zork Grand Inquisitor, I think you'd probably like this game. But for those who are fans of anything Douglas Adams, then be forewarned, because I feel like this game falls a little short of Adams' usual material. When you think of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, be it the radio series, the novels, or the TV series, the movie can go stick its head in a pig as far as I'm concerned, much of the humor stems from the absurdity of the situations the characters deal with, as well as Adams' mastery of wordplay in making practically every line being delivered, be it audibly or on the page, funny. While the story of Starship Titanic is definitely absurd, and the characters do have a few amusing lines here and there, it is still a point-and-click game, meaning much of your time will be spent going back and forth repeatedly between different parts of the ship and trying to figure out how to solve most of the puzzles, and the humor of the game is soon lessened, if not lost entirely. Well, while I did have a little fun with my time with Starship Titanic, I can't really say I was overwhelmed by the game. But, despite not really enjoying any of the games I've played these past 3 weeks, I do try to keep my word around here, so I am glad I was finally able to record and review these games for you after having my initial attempts thwarted. It's back to normal for now, starting next week with the last of my no-budget gaming specials, so I hope to see you again for that. Do please leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. Seriously, talk to me. Say anything. It's lonely out here on the YouTubes. And if you feel like this game is your particular cup of something almost but not quite entirely unlike tea, you can check the description under the video for a link to the game. Like and share the video, speaking of the video, if you like the video and want to share the video. Let's see, that was 4 times I said video, not 5 times, damn. And of course, if you want more videos, 6 times, like this, all you have to do is click the subscribe button. Video. Sayonara.